And the way we change that, first and foremost, is the way we train. And I think SEALs might be the worst of there's a time to be cold, wet, and tired, but that should not be 24/7, 365 days a year, because the byproduct of that is you now are not resetting your guys and girls out there to find a way to get them back in the parasympathetic. So I would tell you, you have to actively find a way every time you know you've pushed your folks into this purposefully, what you have to do for training, into the sympathetic side. What was your plan to bring them back to the parasympathetic side so they can stay attached to their families, to themselves, to their health, etc.? There's got to be a reset button, and it can't be once a year. You know, you always hear the proverbial SOF Warriors are like professional athletes. Name one professional athlete that doesn't have a significant off season, and that off season, most of them have contractually that they can't go do these more extreme things. They are required to shift into the parasympathetic mode. We don't do that. You've got to find a way to do that at each of your respective commands and to be cognizant of that. So with that, I would tell you, when you get somebody who quote unquote has a problem, whether it be alcohol, whether it be domestic problems, financial problems, whatever, my first question to them is, how's your sleep? I would submit to you that everybody you know, particularly who is going down the tubes, and especially if you knew that they were a top performer at one time and something changed, then you need to go get them a sleep study immediately. I have sleep apnea. You're not cool to strap on the stuff on your head, but the difference between doing it and not doing it is night and day. And I tell you, life-saving. The second thing, which I now hear people doing, is the hormone panel. But let me be clear, doing a hormone panel without fixing the sleep side of it is chasing your tail. You first have to fix the sleep to get a correct baseline to find out where and how bad hormones are. Sleep is always the first thing you have to address. And in fact, if you've been to NICO or programs like NICO, which I have, the very first day is a sleep study. There's a reason for that. So I'd encourage you yourselves, if you have it, or if you know people in your command that are having issues, get a sleep study, period. I was actually moderate on the sleep study side, and I was waking up, I think, 25 to 30 times an hour. I didn't know it. Because again, I was power napping, if you will. My body would wake up, and you're still at stage 1, so you're not necessarily conscious, or you're conscious that you have waken up. But in terms of actually getting sleep, I wasn't getting anything. Let me go back to me too. So I was at a point where I was down to about 2 hours a night. That went on for about a year. I don't remember. I'd had about 8 or 9 surgeries in about a 6-year period. I got blown up in 2008, had a couple of neck injuries. I had previous shoulder injuries that were botched, blah, blah, blah. The point being is I had a lot of stuff going on, and all I knew to do was to go harder. So how many of you out there yourselves have said this? I can still do everything I used to be able to do. I just have to work 2, 3, 4 times as hard to do it. So what does that mean? That means you can't concentrate because you're over in the parasympathetic side, and your brain is like a baboon brain on crack. It doesn't know how to stop. And so for me, and like many people I suspect like yourselves, what you do is you just work later. You work until 10, 11, 12 at night to get all the things done, because you have to work longer to be able to do things you used to be able to do quickly. Which, guess who takes that price? Your kids, your spouse, your significant others, your family, your friends. And oh, by the way, you're now not sleeping, you're sleeping even less, which means it turns into this incredibly vicious cycle that can drag the best of us down. And whether that's you, yourselves, I promise you, if it's not you, there is 1 or more people in your command who are already there. And it will be incumbent upon you to figure out how to help them out. Again, starting with the sleep study.